Hey buddy, it's me, your dad. Today I've been making you a video on our family history, and I've been doing that all morning long, and I hope it's not going to be boring. It might be initially, but this is going to be more of a video to, look back on at other times, and I don't know, whatever. You can use it however you want to, but it just occurred to me that, I've been making these videos in my office all the time, and I think I'm going to take you down to the lab. I got to do something in the lab in just a little bit, so I'm going to take you down there, introduce you to my lab, and show you how to make up some media. Show you a little bit about what I do here using the old think tank. So hang on. Next time you see me, we'll be down in the lab. Now, before we go down to the lab, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my research, and this poster, which is right outside my office, kind of explains what I've been doing. I have been looking at the anti-inflammatory effects of progesterone, and this was a poster I presented at a conference not too long ago. And just to summarize, if we go up closer to this graph, what I'm showing you here is I took a specific kind of cell and I challenged them with endotoxin, which is what makes you sick when you eat like raw hamburger meat. And the blue bars are the amount of an inflammatory molecule that these cells produce when you incubate them with progesterone. And the red line is when I incubated the cells in progesterone, and you can see they make less. And then the green line is when I also incubated in something that blocks the progesterone receptor, showing there's a reversal of this inhibitory effect, so that this shows that the action I'm getting is actually through the progesterone receptor. So I'm looking at the anti-inflammatory effects of progesterone for right now. So let's go to the lab, shall we? So here we are in my lab. This is it's kind of small, so I'm having to smash myself up against the door. But straight in front of you are my tissue culture hoods. That's the main one I work in, and then over here is another one. And believe it or not, that's a freezer. And over here is part of my bench top. And in here we have, this is a water bath. And that's the media that I need to make up. I want to make up a 10% fetal calf serum. So that's what we'll be doing today. But also in here, this is the room where I keep my microscopes, and this is just a normal microscope, and then this one is a microscope for tissue culture flasks. So I can put my flask, it's called an inverted microscope, so I can put a big flask right here and look at the cells that I'm growing. This is a new piece of machinery called a microtome. It's how you make microscopic sections. And I haven't used one in a long time. This is really cool over here. This is our liquid nitrogen tank. Watch this. Oh, there's don't look like there's much liquid nitrogen in there. Well, that's not very interesting. Those are really cold samples. Anyway, let's put that back so they don't warm up. So, if you'll just give me a minute, I'll be back. So the first thing we want to do is, I've taken my growth media out of the water bath. I've had it warming up at 37 degrees centigrade, which is body temperature, And what I want to do is I want to make this is called MEM. It stands for Minimal Essential Media. No, Minimal Essential Media. And I want to make it with 10% fetal calf serum. And this is the fetal calf serum. And so what I'm going to do first is, since I'm making this up for cell culture and you want your media to be sterile, I need to clean that bottle because it's been sitting in a water bath. So the way to do that is this way. I'm going to set the camera down and wait, this way. And simply, dadgummit, I'm not doing this wisely. I'm having to kind of work backwards here. Take this media, and this is 70% ethanol, so I just spray the bottle off with the ethanol to wash away any of that incubator water in there, and make a chem wipe. Don't go away. Take a chem wipe and wipe it off really good to get all that water off. Set that aside and do the same thing with the fetal calf serum. Squirt it off real good with ethanol to wipe away all that water, and then with my chem wipe, wipe that off really well. Put it on the rack, and then we're set to go. Come on in. So here I am now at my tissue culture hood. I've got my media in here along with that fetal calf serum, and you always work in this environment here. This is a tissue culture hood, and what it does is you can hear a blower. It's blowing air out this way, and any air in there, it pulls it up. So anything in this zone it's not sterile, but it's aseptic. Okay, so let me put this down and aim it to in here, and I'll explain what I'm doing. So I think you can see everything. And so what I need to do is make a 10% solution. And this is a 500 ml bottle. And I'm going to put in 50 milliliters of fetal calf serum, so I need to take out 50 of this, so that when I add 50 of the fetal calf serum, it'll be a 10% solution, 500 ml total volume. So to do that, I'm going to take one of these pipettes, which is a 25 ml pipette, and this is a pipette gun, so I'm going to open this up, and you open and close everything inside the hood. I can touch the top because I'm not going to get that anywhere else. And I'm going to take out 50 mils. This is a 25 mil pipette, so I'm just going to take 2 gulps. So I push this button on the top, and it pulls the media up to 25. Put it in here. And I'm going to do it one more time. To 25. Put it in there. And so now what I have is 450 mils left in my flask, but now I'm going to put in 50 mils of the fetal calf serum. And so what I'll do first is I'll pull up a little bit, and then I'm going to pipette it back in there, just kind of mix it all up because it's been frozen for months. So I'm going to do that 1 or 2 times. And then just put it in here. I use all of it because I've already measured it out and I know it's 50 milliliters. So once I've done that, I put my pipette back in here, put this in the biohazard, which is right below me, and I now have a 500 ml volume of 10% fetal calf serum. And what I'm going to do later at 5:30 in about an hour and a half is add that to my cells. And I'll take you on that journey too. This is Chris Brandon reporting to you live from his lab, Georgia Gwinnett College. Over and out. So here we are back in the lab, and what we're going to do now is I have some cells growing in culture that I started this morning. I took them from minus 80 degrees as they were frozen, and then I started them in some of that similar culture media we made up a little while ago, the 10% fetal calf serum. And what you do is you put them in that growth media for about 6 hours, and at about that time all the cells that are alive have sat down on the bottom of the flask. And this is the flask of those cells. By that time the cells have settled down to the bottom, and the ones that are alive have attached to the bottom. So what I want to do now is take out this media and replace it with fresh media that we made up a little while ago. And the reason for that is I want to get the dead cells out of here because they can damage the good cells. So that's what I'm going to do. The first thing we're going to do is aspirate the media out of here and then put in the new fresh media that we made up a little bit ago. So let me turn this around this way so you can get a good look. There are our cells and the new media we made. So what we're going to do is take 2 of our large pipettes and just aspirate the media from the flasks. So we'll do them one by one and be just very careful. And you don't want to disrupt the cells on the bottom, so we'll aspirate the media up this way and put that in a waste beaker and throw this away, because you don't want to use the same pipette when you're going into different flasks because you can contaminate the cells. So we'll just let that sit there for a second and do the same for this one. Sometimes these are a little hard to get off. So aspirate this guy. And we'll throw this away. Get another pipette, because once you go in the flask you don't want to go back in here because you're going to put cells in here, and this is growth media, and what growth media is just a nutrient rich solution that's got all the things that a cell needs to grow. And I put that fetal calf serum in there because it's got growth factors and it's good for cell growth. So I'm going to put in 20 mils into each one of these. And I can use the same pipette here because I'm not going to touch anything with it. So there's that one. And here's this one. That's all we have to do. put this in the biohazard container, put the top on, and then what I do is I close the cap real tight and I just kind of swish it around a little bit. And now these cells should be all the live ones, and when I put them in the incubator, which by the way is right below you, you're actually standing on the incubator, the cells will start growing and multiply and cover that bottom of the dish so I can do experiments with them. These are these flasks, again, the fluid stays at the bottom over the cells, and they're vented, which means you don't need to open up the top any, but I found out that it works better when I do. And so what I do is I just open up the top just a little bit, just so air can get in and out really easily. Then I'll put them in the incubator and show you what that looks like. Ooh. So look at this. So this is the incubator. There are cells, and we close the door, and then close this. And it stays at, it's a little cooler now because we open up the door, but it's going to stop, set it at 37 degrees centigrade, that's body temperature, or physiologic temperature, and 5% carbon dioxide. And that's how we start a cell culture. And then what I can do is utilize these cells for my experiments, to do those stimulation assays, seeing the effect progesterone has on the inflammatory cascade and things of that nature. So that's my trip through the lab for the day, and you have yourself a good weekend. And once again, this is Chris Brandon reporting to you live from the laboratory of Georgia Gwinnett College. Thank you and good night.
If I don't love you, baby, grits ain't groceries, eggs ain't poultry, and Mona Lisa was a man.